So, today I wanted to bring on another special guest to talk about Jiu Jitsu from a perspective of one, a father who trains himself, but then also his perspective on Jiu Jitsu for not only children in general, but specifically being a girl dad, why he chooses Jiu Jitsu as a martial arts that his daughters train in. So I want to bring on my special guest, my husband. So, husband, introduce yourself. What is your name?
Hi, my name's Will. I am Brittany's husband. We've been married for going on 11 years.
This July, yeah.
Yep.
So I wanted to bring you on to discuss jujitsu. But first, you train also. So let's talk about your journey first into jujitsu. So, how long have you been training?
It's a complicated answer. So I started training overall MMA, end of senior year, just out of high school for a little bit. Stopped for a while due to injuries, and then just picked back up training um, the going on 9 years.
9 years now, yeah.
Yep, 9 years. Combination of Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu now, primarily Jiu Jitsu.
And so, how did you get into jujitsu solely by itself? What brought you into jujitsu?
So Jiu Jitsu was kind of um, like when we went back to training, I was looking more for well-rounded striking and jiu-jitsu. Uh, had a stint where I thought about competing in kickboxing for a little bit. Didn't pan out and stuff like that, and want to stick with jiu-jitsu because it's a training that can take into longer years and has less impact on the body and stuff like that. And um, yeah, so that's how I stuck to primarily jujitsu and plan to do it as long as I can.
So let's dive kind of a little bit into that. You said jujitsu has less of an impact on the body. So for those who kind of, whenever they talk about jujitsu or any martial arts, karate is always, oh, you do karate. Everybody just kind of who is not in the martial arts world just kind of umbrellas every martial art under karate. And people who are in anything other than karate understand, like, no, we're not, everything's not karate, right? But I want you to kind of dive into personally what makes jujitsu not so impactful? Because obviously injuries do come with any martial arts, but what makes, for the lack of a better description, jujitsu more of a long-term safe martial arts?
So for me, the best way I can say it is my own experiences with having my back injury. Um, I have three bulging discs in my lower back. Uh, I Afterwards, I got cleared for training and everything after my PT, going back to all. I tried going back into Muay Thai and sparred a little bit, and each time I sparred and I took a body shot, I felt the pain, and it hurt in a different way and everything. So however, with jujitsu, you don't have the jarring impact of taking a full force round kick to your ribs or to like to a liver or anything like that. It's there are takedowns involved and sometimes rolls in awkward ways, but it's a lot more I guess muscle contractions and muscular strength involved. And yeah, so you don't get that jarring impact of all of a sudden you get a sudden shot that, just bangs your body to the side and to absorb it. And if you don't, you're, in my case, I'm feeling like I can't walk right after. Where jujitsu, I can, it's on the ground. My game's a lot more control.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot more, I guess, self-preservation in it. So.
Yeah, and for me as an MMA fighter, I would say out of all of the martial arts that I blend, jujitsu is probably the easiest to control the pace.
Right.
And even if you, as a competitor, there's times where some of my partners will say we're going to go light, and then it turns into a competitive role where that happens too. In like kickboxing, we're going to go light, and then all of a sudden we're hitting harder than what we planned on it. But with jujitsu, there's less of a chance of injury when those times come up where we kind of go harder than what we said. But it is a lot easier to control the pace in jujitsu than it is other martial arts. And maybe there's other people who would disagree with that, but just from our perspective, and I think most people who train anything other than jujitsu would agree with us. So before we move on to kind of the next topic, I want to ask you, for you as a father, and as a man and as a husband, what confidence or what have you gained even physically from jujitsu?
Just getting back to a point where I know physically if I need to use anything to either defend myself or my family, and I didn't have the extra tools of any type of weapons or anything like that, I know that even if I personally don't win the fight, I know that there will be more than enough time for my family to get to a safe spot. And I mean, yeah, so it gives me that extra confidence knowing that it's another tool I have to protect my family, in ways that if I'm coming home from work or something like that. Well, now we work together, but before it was if I was coming home from work and something was about to go down or anything like that, I have over a 90% chance of that I'm coming home to my family. So
it's another tool in your pocket other than your license to carry. But
right.
That's the last resort if we ever have to pull that, right? But all jokes aside, as a father of all girls right now, what is the benefit or what do you find if you had to tell other fathers or other parents of, we'll just start with children in general, what would be your reason to tell someone, hey, this is why out of all martial arts, I would say your child should train this?
So I would say, it's funny because I recently had a conversation with a guy at work about it, that when you look at bullies, especially younger kids and just any type of school age for the most part, the one thing they're going to really try to do is they're going to try to pin the smaller kid down, get on top of the smaller kid. And jujitsu teaches that smaller kid how to manipulate the person on top of them to get them off or injure them in whatever way they can so they can get away. Basically, what we call winning the fight from the bottom, especially for like a father with daughters. That's a big thing too, and it'll translate as they get older. Because you look at statistically, when somebody attacks a girl or a guy attacks a girl, it's to dominate them, get them down on the ground, hold them down because, I'm the guy, I'm bigger, I'm stronger than you, so I'm gonna hold you down, have my way with you. Jiu Jitsu teaches especially women, that know that's not going to happen because I have these extra tools to, you know, get you off of me and, actually injure you, hurt you in all different ways from this position.
Right. And which is what I was going to get into specifically for girls. And as a female myself, there's a lot of times where we're learning these moves and these positions. And I'm like, this is a position that a rape victim, honestly, would probably be put in on the streets, like all jokes aside. And a woman would be able to defend themselves out of these positions by just training jujitsu, not even being a competitor, not going out and trying to compete for medals or anything, but simply going to class to learn from a self-defense aspect. And I know for sure where we train at Bellum, our coach always throws in, hey, this is what you would do in competition, but on the streets, this is what you would add to it. And so it is a great opportunity for females, younger or older, to come in and to learn jujitsu in a way that they can walk around confidently, just like my husband was saying, to be able to say, I can disable somebody if they come up to me. Men are stronger than women most of the time, but to know that I could at least disable this man to get away to get help, or disable them long enough for me to get away to get help, or break something so that they can't continue to do what they're trying to do, is awesome. It's a confidence that I know I carry. So my question for you is, what is the confidence level that you've seen in our daughters since they've trained jiu-jitsu, if any?
A lot. Like with Niobe, just her not taking the stuff that she used to take us at school. Like, with other kids messing with her, she would most of the time just come home just crying in tears and everything. And I still remember the story, I'm sure you do, with the girl that's putting her feet on her head and everything. And we finally had enough, and right in front of her teacher, grabbed her leg and slammed her to the floor and everything. And it's and we're just I remember she came home and told me that, and I just high-fived her, and that's my girl. Zamira, after starting it, again, just that confidence and kind of being I'm a smaller kid, but I want to go roll with these bigger boys and everything and stuff like that. I want to wrestle them. And the other thing I've noticed with Zamira is her focus outside in her everyday life is better. I think it's a combination of that physical energy being put out and just the focus you gain in training.
Yeah. And just to dive into for Zamira, she was diagnosed last year with ADHD and a little bit dyslexia. And luckily we had a doctor that was not into prescribing children, which that's not the way that we want to go either, to help her cope with that or to live with that, but to help her manage it physically. And we noticed when she started doing jujitsu, outside of jujitsu, it's like that energy that she had before, she didn't have an outlet. And I think jujitsu gave her that physical outlet. And now she's like, every day she would go if she could. Is jujitsu tonight? No, it's adults class only tonight. So she actually has a desire to go. And my husband said, that even at school, we homeschool now, but when she does her homework, you can tell that she went to jujitsu that week because she's just a different kid, completely calmer, more in tuned, and not as I will say emotionally triggered. So yeah, I think jujitsu, even for situations like that, or kids diagnosed with ADHD or needing something for a healthy outlet, jujitsu is great because it's a physical thing. It makes you concentrate. You have other kids that you can engage with. It's disciplined. So yeah, I agree that for Zamira and Niobe, both of them have shown different benefits from jujitsu that just can't be explained. You have to witness it for yourself. So I don't have any other thoughts on this subject. So is there anything else you'd like to share when it comes to either jujitsu for you as a man or as a father, or for your children or as for daughters specifically? Is there anything else you want to leave us with?
I just overall 100% recommend it. Even as a family, just enjoying it as a family too, because for kids, you're going to see their confidence skyrocket. It's a physical event. So, especially if it's a kid with a bunch of energy and kind of, is like either disruptive or kind of like
Lack of focus or
lack of
interest.
focus or just kind of, I don't know, just wild around the house. It's a way to get that energy out, get that extra focus. For a family, one, it's a great form of exercise. You get cardio, you get strength training, you get all that out of it. And two, for adults, not only do you get the exercise, you get the confidence, but it's a way of knowing that you, like for me and Brittany has said, that you have an extra tool for defending yourself and your family. A lot of people talk about license to carry. We both have ours. We follow that. We agree that, citizens should be able to. But the fact is, not every situation will give you time to actually reach for the weapon that you're concealing, and you're going to have to use your hands. And I always say it's a lot easier to miss with a punch than when you're throwing your whole body at him.
Yeah, so. Yeah. And of course, like we said too, it's like if we can not use a lethal weapon, of course, we rather use something that's more disabling to get us back home to our families. And that's just the last resort, but we have the right to use that last resort depending on the situation. So jiu-jitsu is just a perfect combination with that, but also the bonding part of it, like he said, to do with your family, to be able to come home and discuss what you both learned and to be able to practice it together. It lights up the whole house, really, and just brings you guys together. So with that, I want to thank you, hubby, for coming on and sharing your perspective as a father who trains, but then also how you feel about jiu-jitsu for our beautiful little girls. So with that, I just want to say, continue to pray, nurture your family, and continue to train like a war machine.